Hello, welcome back. Today I am going to create actually a single page 12 by 12 scrapbook layout using the papers and products from the beautiful gallery collection in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. Now this is actually the next installment, actually it's a new installment, of the sketch challenges that Erin Jacobson and I started a while back, and now our crafty team has joined in with us. But we are now going to work our way through the sketches in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. So we are on the first sketch here in the catalog. So there's the sketch, and here you can see an example of how they have used this sketch. All right, so if I bring in my Versamat, and I am going to use this paper, this linen-like paper from my stash, and then I've got my 12 by 12 white willow cardstock. It's actually cut down to 11 by 11. The sketch had a really big border. Actually, I think it was probably even bigger than that, but because they were using a smaller photo, that one would work. But what I am using a 4 by 6 photo, and this photo is really special. Not only because of the people that are in it, but because this is my mother, and unknown to us at the time, this is the last photo of her that was ever taken. So you can see how happy she is with her 3 great granddaughters. So I thought the beautiful gallery suite was perfect to help me document these photos. So you can see my photo is larger than the photo that they have here in the sample. But what I do like is kind of the cluster all around the photo, and then we've got this little cluster up here in the corner. So what I wanted to do is use this card. Here's a card I created that we're going to be making in my card club in a couple of weeks. But I thought this is kind of like the perfect inspiration for what I want to do with this card. But then plus, when I was finished making the card, I had a lot of pieces left over. And so I thought I would try to use those pieces on my layout. All right, so the first thing is, let me show you. I had this piece left over from cutting down the card base. You can see that was the B side of the paper. You flip it over, we've got that beautiful kind of a damask print. And I thought, well, that would be kind of pretty, maybe to frame out the picture like that, okay? And then also you can see here I've got this frame piece that is embossed, and let me show you how that was done. So the frame was made by first taking the Gallery Blooms dies, and it has not only the beautiful dies that coordinate with the stamp sets, and it also has some standalone dies as well, and it also has this frame that you can die cut out of your cardstock, and you see it's actually designed to cut 2 pieces. So you run that through your die cutting machine, okay, and then you come out with 2 separate pieces. So then to get the embossed image on the frame, take one of the frame pieces and then just line it up with your embossing folder, making sure that it is straight and you have some of that pretty design showing, and then you run it through your Big Shot. So then I had this lovely frame left over from that card that I showed you here, because I've used the smaller frame. So I thought, well, let's use the bigger frame with the photo, with the layout. And then I'm just going to start building up a cluster around the photo with the different pieces. But I wanted to do some kind of mixed media stenciling in the background, and if you've watched my channel for a while, you know I love stenciling. Now, to do the stenciling, I had this stencil in my stash from the Tim Holtz collection. It's called Honeycomb. And the reason I wanted to use the honeycomb, because it's a tribute to my mother. One of her favorite things was bees. She just loved anything that had bees on it. pillows, little decor items, just anything at all. So I thought this would be a nice tribute to my mother to add some of that honeycomb stenciling on there. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of seeing where I kind of want it up here in this corner, and I want it down here in this corner, kind of feathering out. So let's just put the stencil down, kind of slide that out of the way. And I'm using, can you see that? Basic beige. That is one of the colors that coordinates well with this collection. Well, let's see, I better get a all-purpose mat down. And let's see, I've brought in my all-purpose mat. The reason I did that is because I'm going to pick up the ink because it's very juicy. I kind of want to go off on my all-purpose mat first to take some of it off. And then with a very, very, very light hand, I'm just going in a circular motion with my blending brush. And I know it's really hard to see right now, but when I lift it up, I can start to see some of that image coming through. And I'll just keep going around. And I don't like to go all the way to the edge because I don't like that perfectly straight edge there. I want it to look more muted toward the ends where it just kind of fades off onto the paper. All right, so that's just a little bit there, and then I'll do the same down here. It was about in this area. Tap it off a little bit, and then the same thing. I'm going to just lightly go around in a circle, and I'm not pressing very hard at all. Okay, and then when I lift that off, then you can see I've got some of that honeycomb image starting to come through. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, and we'll get ready for the next layer. The next thing I wanted to do was add a little bit of splatter on each of those corners. So again, I'm taking my basic beige pad, just going to open it up and press down on my all-purpose mat. Get a little bit of water. Let me scoot this over a little bit more and spray it to get it nice and wet. And then I'm going to use my fan brush and pick up some water and the ink, and then just tap with my blending brush on each area where I did the stenciling. Okay, and when it dries back a lot lighter than that, but I like that splatter. All right, so let's clean this up, and we'll be right back. All right, I'm starting to build up the frames, and like I said, I've got this frame. I think that's going to go down here in this corner, probably kind of like that. I think I will definitely snip these off at the bottoms so the part that is hiding doesn't get wasted. And then I thought I'd take some more of the basic beige and go over the raised image on the frame just to make that pop a little bit more. And again, I am just lightly tapping into the ink pad, and then with my blending brush just lightly, just barely touching the paper to go over it, to go over the raised images, because I only want it on the raised image and not on the flat part of the paper. Now that the pieces are adhered down, let's talk embellishments. So I'm going to put a little cluster right here and one little thing here. If you look at the sample in the catalog, they do have kind of a little banner there, an embellishment cluster here, sort of a title there, and some more embellishments on this side. So the one of the matching stamp sets is called Gallery Blooms. It's got these beautiful floral motifs, and each one of these has a die cut. So I want to use this one and that one. So let's see, let's bring in our Stampin' Pierce mat for a soft surface to stamp on. And I am going to be stamping with my basic beige. And I've got each of the stamp sets mounted on an acrylic block. And I will be using Early Espresso to stamp. All right, so that looks very pretty. All right, and let's do the other floral motif. And then I am going to, well, you'll see in a second. And then once that dries, then I am going to take my blending brush and my ink pad and add a little color. I am using Cajun Craze and a blending brush just to add some soft color to each of these blossoms. And then you'll see in a moment for the leaves, I am going to bring out my alcohol markers from Stampin' Up! In the soft sea foam to add some color to each of those leaves. Cajun Craze and Soft Sea Foam were coordinating colors with the Gallery Blooms Designer Series paper, so that's why I chose those. And also I thought the Cajun Craze went well with my youngest granddaughter's shirt. And then I will grab the coordinating dies for each of those floral motifs and take it over to my Big Shot and cut each of those out, as well as some of the coordinating leaves and sprigs from the Gallery Blooms die set as well. And I will be using the soft sea foam and my Barely Art glue to tack those down. As I continue to work on these embellishments, I wanted to say thank you so much for watching my video, and if you like what you're seeing, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out here on YouTube. It helps with the algorithm. It puts videos in front of you that you like, and it helps grow my channel. So I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you so much for joining me every week. Now you can see that I am just working with some of the embellishment clusters. I am pulling things out from my stash. Most of those things come from different collections that I've had in my stash for quite a while, actually. If you like the products that you are seeing, I wanted to ask you to please don't forget to check out that description box down below, where you will find all the direct links to all the Stampin' Up! Supplies that I use in today's layout, as well as some of my other crafty must-haves that I like to use. I'll have links for all those things listed down below. You can see I put the title on there with some dimensionals. I thought all smiles went perfectly because, as you can see, my mom, or Florida as she was lovingly called by the granddaughters, is definitely all smiles. She was the happiest when the granddaughters came over. It was getting to the point where she didn't want to come over as much, but if the kids were going to be over, no problem. She came over. And I'm just adding one more little sticker there. And you saw that I was putting some of those gems around, and those were part of the collection Gallery Blooms as well. All right, so let me take a moment here and show you the finished product, and let's hold that up so you can get a look at each of those clusters. And I wanted to also, I'll bring in that card that you can see that was my original inspiration. And thanks again so much for watching. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss one of my crafty projects. Thanks for watching. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.